But your point is valid.
You took an oath to the Constitution. Isn't it unconstitutional to say you cannot exercise your carry license?
With one exception, and that is if there's an emergency, and I've declared an emergency for a temporary amount of time, I can invoke additional powers. No constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute. In an emergency, we can create a safer environment.
You're talking about crimes. There are already laws against the crimes, so how are there
I
rights?
got it, but again, if I'm unsafe, who's standing up for that right? Yep.
Do you really think that criminals are going to hear this message and not carry a gun in Albuquerque on the streets for 30 days?
No. But here's what I do think. It's a pretty resounding message.
Okay, so morons like this just give women a bad name. I feel so bad for my gender. I'm embarrassed for them because not all women are this freaking stupid and ignorant of history. Here's the deal. You can either trust the government or you can understand history. Because historically, anytime a populace was disarmed, mass genocide followed. Cambodia, Guatemala, Soviet Union, China, Germany, Armenia. I'm Armenian. We all know the story of the genocide. 1.5 million Armenians were stripped of their right to defend themselves, and they were slaughtered, raped, tortured, murdered, decimated. Mass genocide follows every time the government comes in and says that we want to take away your rights and ability to defend yourselves. This is how communism leads to fascism. This is how it starts. It starts under the guise of social equality and under safety. This is a slippery slope, and you can either, like I said, do two things. You can either trust the government or know history, but you cannot do both. You heard what she said, that she doesn't believe that the Constitution is absolute. She doesn't even believe her oath to defend Americans. Our founding fathers knew that absolute power corrupts absolutely, and anytime you give the government the authority to have dominion over you, they are going to take advantage of it. And here's the rub on the Constitution not being a right all the time. If they can take it away, was it ever really a right? Like she said, well, this is an emergency, but here's the problem. If the government can have absolute authority in the event of an emergency, then guess what? They're gonna be creating a hell of a lot more emergencies because that is the ultimate goal. They want power, control, and total dominion. And like, I love the guy at the end who said, well, why don't we just make laws that make it illegal for you to murder people? And she was like, guess what? Murder is illegal. The problem is criminals don't obey the law. So you take away a law-abiding citizen their right to protect themselves and their ability to do so.